Andrew Callaghan responds to allegations. So from what I understand with this one, he was accused of pushing it to the point where it would be considered harassment. I could be, maybe there's more to it, but from what I understand, it's basically a case of sexual harassment due to being very pushy.
Let's go back over. We'll watch this. Andrew Callaghan got accused of a lot of sexual misconduct. I don't want to like classify it.
Oh, misconduct. Maybe that's what I was thinking, not harassment per se. I mean, technically, it would be kind of harassment depending on the setting, but yeah.
Because I didn't read everything, but apparently he had an apology. I guess we'll watch this. Here we go.
All right. I never thought I'd make a video like this, but
that's a good start for a YouTube apology. Okay. Yep. It's like you don't want to change things up. Just go ahead and do the same thing everybody else does.
I think there's an important conversation to be had, and I just want to be fully accountable, honest, and transparent with all of you guys. So I'd like to start by thanking every single person who's came out in the past week to speak about different ways in which my behavior has made them feel uncomfortable or pressured during a sexual situation, and to people who said that I've made unwanted advances and had a hard time with rejection. I'm sure this was not easy to do. It's never easy to speak out, and it was hard for me to hear as well, because to be honest with you, up until this point, I didn't even really realize that I had this pattern that had affected multiple people. I'd also like to apologize for my silence. I think that when this stuff first came out, I was in a state of denial and shock.
Yeah, especially if it's like something like this, where it's like where you say he doesn't really know. He didn't know it was like a problem. It's like, oh, what are these people talking about? Like, I didn't like harass them or anything like that. Like, they said yes. So
was, just riding the high from my movie that just came out. And
so like when it happened, it probably was just like out of nowhere, like, oh, maybe they're just after my money. I'm actually like succeeding in life and now they're coming out. I can see where he's coming from in that sense. Like, it just coming out of nowhere and it's taking like a while to process. You should like definitely not make a video while you're still trying to process the situation.
And then within 48 hours, I was denounced by my closest collaborators, and my name was printed in 40 different news outlets next to the words sexual misconduct, and I just kind of spiraled into a mental health crisis. I'm okay now, but I don't really think this is about me. This is about the people that I've affected. So I just want to express my complete sympathy, respect, and support for anyone who I've done wrong by. And I really want to do better and be fully accountable for everything that I've done. So that being said, I want to make a few things clear. I've always taken no for an answer. As far as consent, I've never overstepped that line. But I think I want to have a more nuanced and important conversation about power dynamics, pressure, and coercion. Because, like I said, I think for a long time, I was behaving in a way that I actually thought was normal. I thought that, going home from the bar alone made you a loser. I thought that persistence was a form of flattery. And I thought that, if at first somebody was reluctant, they're playing hard to get.
Which is true. He is the problem with that is that there are women who do that. Well, they will not say yes at first. They want the guy to chase them a bit. So they do want him to be a bit persistent. I'm not saying every woman is like that. I'm not even saying most of them are like that. But there definitely are a few.
Just try harder. And if you think someone's feeling you...
I don't know where Andrew grew up. I'm not really sure. But like whenever I went to high school, people would say this same stuff.
Make a physical advance and see if they go with it.
Yeah, unless it was a hard no, like, no, ew, the fuck. Like, most of the time, guys would be like, okay, well, maybe if I try a bit more.
And I think that, especially I realized when so many young people, especially young men, rushed to defend me when this stuff first started coming out, that this type of sex pest behavior is normalized. And a lot of people think this stuff is normal when I don't think that it is. And I think that I want to be fully responsible for not having a fluid understanding of consent and what enthusiastic two-way consent looks like. That being said, a lot of the things that have been said online about me are not true. A lot of things are missing really important contextual information that I think would change people's interpretation of a lot of these situations, but I'm not here to invalidate anybody's lived experience. If you feel pressured, that's just what it is. I hope that young people and young men in particular can use my mistakes to learn and move through life with a better understanding of consent. As far as what I have planned, I'm not really sure what comes next. I mean, obviously, reporting is my one true love, and I'm 25 years old, and I have my whole life ahead of me. But I really think that I need to do some serious work on myself and figure myself out. So I'm going to start therapy sessions pretty much immediately. Also, not to blame alcohol, but I truly believe that alcohol was a contributing factor to my poor decision making. And
I would probably assume that is true. I've never known anybody who makes better decisions while they're drunk. That's probably true. Absolutely. It's not, and again, it's not like a thing like, oh, well, because of this, it's okay, or something like that. It's not an excuse. No, it's not an excuse. I mean, how do we know that alcohol isn't an excuse? Because if you get in a...
I keep trying to pause it, and it keeps trying to go down. Sorry about that. Let me go back a bit.
It's okay, or something like that. It's not an excuse. No, it's not an excuse. I mean, how do we know that alcohol isn't an excuse? Because if you get in a car and you're driving and you're drunk and you hit somebody, you can't say, well, it wasn't really my fault, I was drunk. Well, then, bitch, you shouldn't have been driving. No, exactly. I obviously everybody understands this.
That, and I'll be honest, like, what he's talking about in terms of, like, being persistent and stuff like that, it's not exactly the norm, but it happens, like, a lot. I've seen it happen in front of me, and it's like, the biggest problem is that it works. It does. There are cases where you eventually people wear them down, and they say yes, and that is the biggest problem. Is it's not illegal and it works.
But yeah, I would say this is many cases. People get drunk and they do stupid shit that they regret or they shouldn't do. I don't drink. I never have.
Well, they also call it liquid courage for a reason. Like, if you're going to be a dude who's just not going to accept... I mean, obviously you say he doesn't accept no's, but maybe like social cues, like her looking away, like not really want to make eye contact. Like, you're going to need a lot more confidence than normal.
I think with alcohol in general,
I don't recommend people to drink either.
So I think I'm going to make the decision to join the 12-step program for Alcoholics Anonymous. And during this journey into sobriety, I want to take a serious step back from public life. And like I said, figure myself out.
I mean, if he's going to that degree, he's not just drinking socially. Like, he probably actually has a legit problem.
And I hope that this reaches the ears of anyone who's felt affected by me. I'd love to reach out to you, or you can reach out to me, even just for me to say, I'm sorry, and I really apologize, and I appreciate you all. I also want to apologize to my closest collaborators, my friends, my family, and people who will have to wear this stain on their career forever.
True.
You guys don't deserve this, and I love you guys. That being said, if you never want to watch Channel 5 again, I understand. I hope you remember the missions of radical empathy and media literacy that we have tried to put into the world through our coverage. All right, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yep, sounds fine to me. I mean, like, it sucks. I mean,
at least he didn't get a dog. Like, at least he wasn't just saying, like, I got this new dog and therefore this is going to make me a better person. Like, he found out the issue. He's going to, tackle the things that made it an issue, which was drinking and not really understanding that kind of pickup methods aren't morally the best.
It's like, this is one of those situations where I don't know why it's so hard for people to just, like, if somebody's not interested, just leave them alone.
It's like I said, um, a lot. I think it's honestly it came about because of both men and women. Like I don't think it was just men or just women or anything like that. And I don't want to say like a victim blaming thing, but like if it was more cases where women just would be straight up like no, like okay, that's what I'm saying. Like him saying, oh, I never like um he always took no as like okay, no means no. Like everyone knows that, right? And yet I have been in situations, or not myself, but I've seen it where the woman doesn't say no. She just like will ignore him maybe, or like try to talk to her, like talk to him about something else, like changing the subject over, like hooking up. And it's like, no, just tell him no. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. And like the problem is the ones who don't take no for an answer. Like those to me are way more serious than cases like maybe I don't know about Andrew. Like he took no for an answer, so I'm just going off of what he said. If he truly did take no for an answer, this tells me that those women did not say no to him. And that's the problem. Like if you're not interested, tell them like, "Oh, you're not my type." Stuff like that. Or no, I'm good. And obviously you will get guys who like, well F you, for not accepting me, like whatever. But it's yeah, that guy's a loser then. So you just dodged a bullet. So I don't know. But because the problem, I think the biggest problem is there are women like that. They will play hard to get. That's, it's true. That exists. Like, it's not like these people are like fairy tales. It's like, no, that happens. And maybe because where I grew up, that is not unheard of. Like, I've seen it many times.
I don't I don't understand this. Like I don't yeah, it's a good apology. It's fine. It's whatever. Yeah, I just don't like I yeah, damage is already done. Well, not I mean like you could talk about this guy like good or bad or whatever. I hope people know that like
It's like there's even a one that's even worse than this one, and it's the guys who try to use pity. Like, oh, no one loves me, no one likes me, blah, 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 I have no friends. Like, those guys to me are way worse.
it doesn't stop like being creepy and weird doesn't stop whenever you touch people against their consent. Like you can be creepy and weird without ever touching somebody. You can cross the line without ever putting a fucking hand on a person ever. And I don't see how people don't realize that. The truth is that there are a lot of people that, and like if you even go back and you watch like older romance movies, like some of them portray like, ask me harder type, like situations and dynamics. I find this to be very weird. Anytime that like, I've had like a girlfriend that did this. It was like, playing hard to get. And she's like, well, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, well, why didn't you try to message me? It's like, well, because you didn't want me to message you. Like, I left you alone. I gave you space because you said stop messaging me. And so I stopped messaging you. Like, what the fuck? And like, yeah,
Yep.
this happens. Absolutely. I don't know why it's so hard for people to do this kind of stuff. I think that really, they just get in a mindset and,
I think it's mainly because it works. Like, if it didn't work, like, after, I would say, like, maybe the fifth time or how many times, eventually they're going to give up. They're like, okay, well, it's not doing anything. I need a new strategy, so to say. So it's like, yeah, like, it's met. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not a good thing that they're doing it, of course, but at the same time, if it wasn't working and women weren't just like, fine, I'll go home with you, which is just so weird to me that like you can say they wore you down and so you said yes. I've never had that happen for anything. Like when people try to sell me something, it's like, no, go away. Like I don't care. It's like they're gonna wear you down to have sex with them. Like that to me is just like a whole nother level. It's like, how does someone wear you down to have sex with them? Versus you be like, no, I'm good. I'm going home now. I don't want to deal with this. Like it's just crazy to me.
they want to do what's good for them, and that's the only thing that really matters. Sure, right there, man. Women, yeah, but like guys do the stuff that he did. So I mean, it's not like any side is coming out ahead here. Okay, alcohol equals doing stupid things. No, I mean,
not always. Alcohol does not equal do stupid things. Alcohol just means do not think before doing thing.
It is true that alcohol is like a force multiplier for bad decisions. Like if you're kind of bad at making decisions, the odds are that whenever you get drunk, you get really bad at making decisions.
Yeah.
Now, every decision that you make while you're drunk, you're accountable for that decision. Aside from, obviously, like there's like a few exceptions and a few lines, right? If somebody's blackout drunk, they can't consent to something, etc., right? So,
those cases,
of course there are, and they can't sign contracts. But in general, you are responsible for yourself whenever you're drunk. So it's not like, oh, I was drunk is an excuse, okay?
So I saw in his chat, alcohol brings out who you really are. That's not true.
That's it. It's a stacking debuff. Yeah. To be clear, technically did nothing wrong. He didn't rape anybody. Well, I don't think that rape is the only thing that you can do that's bad. I think that being creepy, being constantly persistent, messaging people consistently after they said they were not interested, I think that all of these things are also bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say when he said he doesn't take no for an answer, it's like, or he did take no for an answer. That's what I'm like, based only on that. But if like he wasn't taking no for an answer, that's a whole different story. And he also brought up the power dynamic thing. So if he was doing this to like his employees, that's way worse.
But obviously there is a spectrum of things that are bad. They're all bad. Yeah. Don't do them. I don't know. Like for me personally, I've always found, the lack of, I guess you'd say, enthusiastic consent to be a very large turnoff. It makes me feel very uncomfortable or like feel weird. It makes me feel self-conscious. So if that's not present, then I'm really weirded out, and I don't like that at all. Like that's the way that I feel on a personal level. I wish more people felt like that.
Wait, what do you say?
I don't know. Like for me personally, I've always found, the lack of, I guess you'd say, enthusiastic consent.
The lack of enthusiasm. I would say to a degree, but it also depends on whoever the other like their demeanor in general. Like if they're not a very enthusiastic person, like I wouldn't expect them to like all of a sudden change how they agree or disagree to things. So it's, I mean, to a degree, I do agree with him in that if it's not like obvious that they're like into it, then yeah, like there shouldn't be like a guess on maybe they are. Yeah.
To be a very large turnoff, it makes me feel very uncomfortable or like feel weird. It makes me feel self-conscious. So if that's not present, then I'm really weirded out, and I don't like that at all.
I'm not even sure what he's talking about. Like I'm trying to imagine the scenario of maybe he's in a situation where things could go the next level, and that are just like, yeah, okay, I guess we can do it. It's like that would freak him out. I don't know. Like to me, I'm like, all right, so they're not really that into me, but they want to still try something. You know what I mean?
Like that's the way that I feel on a.
Because it almost sounds like he's saying, unless they're head over heels for me, I'm not really interested, which is a bit weird too. So
personal level, I wish more people felt like that. Maybe stuff like this wouldn't happen as much. That's about it. Yeah, just don't touch people, respect people's boundaries. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a shitty topic to have to go over. Stop virtue signaling, please. What part of what I said is virtue signaling, do you think, Fallen? Yeah, what part is virtue signaling? I'm kind of curious. Let's find out. Let's find out what part is virtue signaling. After that, we'll watch the Andrew Tate video. You're going to love that one, too. Okay, here we go. Why are you mad that I drank Pepsi?
That's a weird thing to be like, why the fuck are you drinking
Yeah,
Pepsi?
what the
Like,
fuck,
you
man?
just like the taste? Why do you drink anything?
Just going to death, yeah. It's good to have a conversation about self-respect. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it is. Like, it's both, like you said, it's like both women and men. Like, because there were cases where, like, I've watched it happen where this girl almost gave in to pity sex with, like, this freaking grandpa dude. He was in, like, his 60s or something, all gray hair. And I remember she, like, came to me and asked me, and she's like, do you think I should do it? I'm just like, no. I was like, why should you feel bad for him? And she's like, what do you mean? I was just like, he put himself there. I was like, he can make friends. Look around. Like, there's other old people here that he can make friends with. Because it was in a casino. And she's like, yeah, but he seems like really lonely. I'm just like, okay. I was like, does that mean you should sleep with everyone who's lonely? And she's like, no. And I'm like, exactly. I was like, she's like, I told her, I was like, if you want to be his friend, that's fine. But it sounds like he's not even a good friend. And so I remember when she went to go try to just be friends with him, he like freaking blew up on her. And she told me later, like, what happened. I'm just like, yeah, exactly. He's not a good dude. He was just trying to pity you into sleeping with him. Freaking old man doing this.
Give me a second.
But the fact that she came to me and even consulted me,
that
like, tells me that there was maybe a universe where she probably would have done it. And freaking, like, why would you do that? Like, it just never, like, it blew my mind that she would even consider it at all.
Enthusiastic consent is always needed. Every person is different, and I can't define what enthusiastic consent is for every single person because different people have different demeanors.
Oh, yeah. Like, he's basically addressing what I was talking about.
So for one person, it might seem like that. For another person, it might not. Why are you, like, what is this? Yeah, how is this so and it not being so? Wait a second. So my own personal feelings are now virtue signaling? I didn't say like I was talking about how I feel. What are you talking about?
He wasn't saying like everyone should be like that. Well, he did say afterward, I wish everyone or more people were like that. So that's in a way, I guess.
It's like I think you're degeneracy signaling here. What the fuck?
It's
so
true.
Weird. Fallen has below average IQ. I don't know, man. It's just so I think a lot. This is what I think happens. Okay, I think a lot of guys, they hear stuff like what I'm saying and they feel like they're being attacked because they think back and there might have been a situation that somebody could maybe claim that they did this, or they put themselves in those shoes and they think like, oh, maybe I had this happen. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Like, that's between you and that person. I don't want to fucking make a decision on that. It's up to them.
Yep.
Like, it's so weird. Are there any more of these? I'm just getting the vibe that you said that dude recently happened is OTK. That has nothing to do with it. I go back 2 years ago, whenever all of the Me Too accusations happened, back in like with the Method and I forgot even all the people like that got fucking kicked off of Twitch. The Bless RNG guy, that not Hassan the streamer, but Hassan the guy that worked at Twitch. Like all these people, like go back, watch my videos from before I even made OTK. I said the exact same stuff. Like, when have you've been following since September? You don't even know what you're talking about. And now you're accusing me of this bullshit that's not even true. What the fuck, man?
I mean, to be fair, do you expect every viewer who joins early to go and watch your backlog from 2 years ago? I mean, it's not really expected, but no, I mean, to be fair, it's not like he was virtue signaling to begin with, so.
Holy shit. It's so annoying. Ban them and move on. Yeah, I don't know. Some women actually do play hard to get. Why is no one talking about them? Because they're not worth fighting over. If a girl is playing hard to get, she's playing with you. Are you a video game or are you a human being? Don't let some fucking girl play games with you.
Exactly. Usually the ones who play hard to get, like, is weird. Like, I've never bothered with those kind of girls, so it's just like, which, like, annoyed me. Like, because there have been cases where, like, I'll flirt with them, they'll give me, like, a hard no, like, no, or really? Like, well, they'll say that, like, really? I'm just like, alright. Obviously, you're not interested. No, like, it's all good. Like, obviously, no one's gonna be, like, attractive to everyone. So it's, well, maybe like some people, but you know what I mean. So, but then later they would, like, at least in this particular girl, like later, like I think like a week later, she's like trying to flirt with me, and I was just like, no, you're crazy. Like, I'm not interested at all.
Have some self-fucking respect.
Like, you're cute, but no.
Move on.
Yeah.
If she's not interested in talking to you and treating you like a normal person, and she's trying to play these weird little fucking games with you because her ego is so fucking small that she needs to have a guy constantly simp for her, or she thinks that it's, oh, well, he doesn't really like me, get the fuck away from her. What's wrong with you? You're gonna ruin your life. That will never stop. The attention seeking, the constant need of validation, pulling away so you have to fucking try to do what she wants. These fucking constant power plays. It will ruin your fucking life. So the reason why I'm not talking about them is because I don't want to, and you shouldn't either. That's why. Fuck, man. It's crazy. You're banned, by the way. You're done. I don't like you. Let's see here. My brother's in the exact scenario. Yeah. Confirm this is manipulation tactic and a big red flag, fellas. Yeah, exactly. Are you degeneracy signaling? Is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, I know. Like, I don't understand why people come in and they try to say that stuff. Bozo? Yeah, fuck him, man. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Yep. Like, virtue signaling. I try not to, and like, this is something that happened, like, I
was gonna say, if, like, anyone I've ever seen, like, has been, like, does the least amount of virtue signaling, like, if ever.
What do you call it? It happened, like, 2 years ago, and I've tried to actually tone a lot of this down. Is, like, I've tried to not, what's the word for it? Like, patronize people, and I felt like my stream kind of started going in that direction where, like, I was telling people things that they already knew. I was, like, saying, oh, don't do bad things, only do good things, and it became very repetitive and kind of just patronizing to people, and it's like, oh, you're preaching to the choir here, and that's why I've kind of stopped doing that as much. But I do think that some common sense is needed. Especially with, like, obviously, you have, like, the Andrew Callaghan thing. Look, I mean, you had the Rich thing, right? You had the Crazy Slick thing. You had the fucking Andrew Tate stuff. Like, all of this stuff is really bad. And so, yes, stay the fuck away from people that make you play games to keep them in your life. Please,
exactly.
For your own sake. She might be, like, really hot. You might think it's worth it. You might think, oh, this is the last time. It won't be. It never is. The last time is your decision whenever you stop trying to do that.
Yeah, it's the same when, like, you get cheated on. Like, if they're going to do it once, they're going to do it a second time.
The moral ground to fool people into liking you? Well, I mean, I am a huge asshole. I do a lot of bad stuff. I'm not the best guy that you should take advice from. But also, I don't think that what I'm saying is very revolutionary. This isn't some fucking worldview-altering thing, and it's not like this fucking base take that's coming from, it's like divinely inspired. Just don't fucking violate people's consent. Listen to them whenever they're saying no, and respect that. It's not fucking hard. I just keep seeing people making excuses for this shit, and it's annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real excuse to it. It's like I said though. I mean, it works and it's not illegal, so there are going to be people that are going to do it. It's really that simple.
I don't know, man. All I ask is like for you guys not to go and defend people. It's like you're defending somebody like Andrew, and Andrew's not even defending Andrew. Like, stop it. Like, people defend these people as if it's them in the situation. That's why they do it.
Yeah, Amber Heard, a lot of women were defending her.
They're like, oh,
when it's
this
like
could happen
overwhelming
to me.
evidence.
It probably fucking won't, because in every single one of these stories, there's like 7 people that get affected. So like if you had one weird encounter with somebody, the odds are you might have had a weird encounter, you might have stepped over the line, you probably should apologize, and you should never do that again. Very fucking true. But don't go and think that this is about you. These people are like serial fucking abusers. Look it up, educate yourself, and I don't know. Stop doing things against people's will. Stop trying to make people do something they don't want to do.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being persistent in a sense, but only in the situations where it seems like maybe they're debating in their own head, like, should I maybe go give them a chance? But if it's like a hard, like, no, I'm not interested, or I'm good, like basically if they just straight up tell you like no in one way or another, like those are like, you should just back off, just straight up. And if things change, you know, and they're giving out mixed signals after that, I would just give it one last try. You know, like, hey, seems like you're kind of interested. And if it's still like a no after that, then at that point you just need to get away from them, because this person's like weird, or at least weird enough to give you mixed signals that they might be interested. So, because not every situation is going to be identical, so there's no way to give like blanket advice. But in general, yeah, if it feels like you're corrosing, can't even speak. Feels like you're trying to force yourself on someone, then yeah, it's not good.